your electricity is probably being stolen. Electricity theft accounts for $96 billion of lost revenue for electricity companies worldwide. It's not only affecting big companies though, it's affecting you too. Do you ever get an unexpectedly high electricity bill? Yeah, it's probably electricity theft. Or those random rolling blackouts? Yep, electricity theft. Let me explain. The US alone loses about 1 to 2% of electricity due to theft, which equals to about $6 billion a year. Now that may seem small for companies that are raking in 10x that, but these companies hate losing money, so they have to make it up somewhere. That cost, it gets pushed down to you. The question is, who's stealing electricity and why? We'll get to that later in the video, but let's take a look at the impact electricity theft has on an economy.
I'm going to talk to you about electricity theft.
If you come in here and you have somebody that steals electricity, it's very easy to do.
Losing electricity wreaks havoc on everything.
This kind of electricity is put to many uses. It provides us with light.
A growing problem takes money out of all of our pockets.
So the issue of stolen electricity extends beyond the US. Of the $96 billion in revenue loss, $60 billion were in emerging markets. That's pretty insane. Among the leading countries for theft are India, Brazil, Pakistan, and Turkey. India alone loses about $16 billion worth of electricity a year. So this issue comes from a few different factors. One of them is corrupt government, or customers just don't want to pay for poor quality service, which is understandable. But this caused India to release new rules called the New Reform. This reform facilitates the ease of doing business for energy-intensive power companies. According to this article from the New York Times, here's how the reform works. As per the new rules, consumers in energy storage systems with a load of not less than 25 megawatt in case of interstate transmission system and 10 megawatt in interstate transmission system can now establish, operate, and maintain dedicated transmission lines without the need for a license. This measure, previously available only to generating companies and captive generating stations, is set to create a new category of bulk consumers expected to benefit from more affordable electricity and improved grid reliability. This strategy has helped reduce the losses of distribution companies from 27% in 2014 to 15.41% in 2022 and 2023. So it worked. Okay, great. India got a resolution. But what about other countries suffering from the same issues? Countries like Pakistan may have it even worse when it comes to power theft. Along with fighting corrupt government, they also find it difficult to catch perpetrators. About 17% of all electricity distributed in the country is lost or stolen. In 1998, when the government cracked down on all electricity theft, they found that all accomplices were affiliated with political parties or officials. But Pakistan has continuously upgraded its energy grid by implementing new policies. These policies included moving from analog to digital meters. After this move, there were no case studies of theft. And then there are countries like Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. These countries struggle with low quality electricity so much that it causes people to not even want to pay for the service. 41.75% of Sub-Saharan Africa and 46.1% of South Asia see electricity as a major constraint. In those countries, electricity companies lose so much money that they're not even able to pay tariffs or upgrade their equipment. But here's an even bigger issue that we all face on a global scale. Climate change. Most countries have a net zero commitment, but with issues like power theft, progress in climate change could be slowed. This is because most people who steal electricity are much less efficient with the energy and tend to use more. And this leads to greater carbon emissions. So who's stealing the electricity and why? Well, this issue is a mix of sociological, ideological, and ethical problems. I mean, honestly, we all know as consumers it's dishonest to steal from your neighbors. But some consumers don't see the issue of stealing from the state or large corporations. There's also unemployment and troubling economic situations for customers. And some customers honestly may not know of its illegal nature. Like this guy.
Check this out. The other day, Encore came to the house early one morning. And they went behind the fence and everything and checked the meter, I guess, or did something. My wife was taking my grandson to school. She pulls back up in the driveway. And she's like, what was the Encore man doing here? And I said, I don't know. I guess he was checking the meter or whatever. Well, my van gets parked every night right beside the meter in the back. So I said, when I went to work, I looked over at the meter and I noticed it had two big locks on it. And I said, wow, man, they must think we're stealing electricity or something. Or maybe they're just putting locks on everybody's meter. I didn't really think a whole lot more about it. I went on to work. Well, today, I get this letter in the mail. and it's from Encore, of course, and it says, notice of meter tampering. We have identified electric meter tampering or theft of electric services at this location. This is the kind of magnet it was on there. I use them all the time. I use them for everything. But the main thing I use them for, see all this scrap and all this junk over here? When I'm cleaning it, I check, see what's steel and what's not, because, sometimes, I'm cleaning scrap. Well, he come over here, and that magnet, if I remember right, it was either stuck right there or stuck right there. And it had a piece of white plastic glued to it about this big around, so I didn't get my hand looking like that when I messed with it. Because, all this scrap and stuff, I clean it, and I run it around in there with it. Let me tell you, if that right there, if that stuck anywhere on that meter changes your electricity bill, I'm selling one of these to everybody on my block and say, put this on your meter. It's just a regular, ordinary old magnet. Just so happens that's where I kept it. So what? I don't care where it's at on there. If that changes your electricity bill, I'm going to be rich. And this video ought to go viral.
Here's a little experiment. And this is how you can tell if your electricity is being stolen. I want you to turn off and unplug everything connected to an electrical circuit, and then go and look at the meter. If any dial or mechanical object is still moving, someone is hooked to your electricity